Hello everyone, Power here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at some new reveals from the sets Snow Hazard and Clayburst. So these, along with Triple B, will basically form our June set, Paldea Evolved. So that's something to bear in mind, and these are essentially two mini sets releasing in Japan, and they will feature 71 cards each, for a total of 142 cards before Secret Rares, releasing April 14th in Japan. So there has been a whole bunch of new reveals for both of these sets, including the mascots, Chein-Pao and Tai Lu, I think they're pronounced as, and basically, or Ting Lu, I should say, and these are basically based on the Treasures of Ruin legendaries found in the main Scarlet and Violet game. So we have actually got card EX reveals for these three, but we don't have one for Wu Qian, the Wendigo compost team, as I like to call it, which is a bit of a shame, but I think that all four of them will be featured in these two sets, and I expect to see, Wu Qian revealed either closer to the release date or, when the full sets get revealed, which will probably be April 7th, if I had to take a guess. So yeah, that's basically the overview, and of course, illustration rares will continue. So getting into the new translations, we have a Relor, which is just okay. I mean, they're continuing the trend of giving us two different basics to evolve from, which is nice. Spoiler alert, the stage 1 isn't very good, so nothing too crazy here. Then we see Chi-Yu EX, which has 190 HP, so very fragile basic EX Pokemon. 2 attacks, Burning Envy and Flame Surge. Burning Envy says discard 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, so it's kind of like a direct reprint of the Houndoom EX from way back in the day in the XY era, which was a pretty decent mill deck from what I remember. But, back in those days we had like Team Rocket's Handiwork, as well as Houndoom being, the same HP as other EX basic Pokemon, whereas Chi-Yu, unfortunately, just has very low HP. 190 just really isn't what it was like back in the day, so that's kind of a worry. There is a tool card that we'll look at later that buffs basic HP by plus 50, so there is something to bear in mind there. But I think Burning Envy will probably be not really enough for its own deck, but probably more of like a side card in, control or mill decks, so I guess there's something to bear in mind there. Also, Flame Surge for 2 Pharyngy does 100 damage, choose up to 3 of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a basic Pharyngy card, and attach it to one of each of those Pokemon. So decent energy acceleration, to be honest. We're all going to have to look at a Sqwakabilly EX later on that says once you turn on the first turn of your game, you can discard your hand and draw 6. So that will certainly help with finding more basic Pokemon as well as finding Magma Basin. So it should be pretty easy to get one of these rolling, going first, going second, should say, turn 1 going second. So that is certainly a possibility to, power up stuff like NTV, Charizard V-Star, Skeldra GX maybe, because the next problem is, what are you even powering up with this card? And 100 damage is pretty low, but honestly, I like this card a lot. I think there's some interesting stuff going on here. Burning Envy is a fun mill card, so yeah, definitely could be cool. We then see a Frigabax line, so 60 HP and then a 70 HP one, so if you want the extra 10 HP, you have to have an extra retreat cost. And then we have a Octobax and a Baxcalibur. So Baxcalibur, 160 HP, stage 2, has the ability Absolute Zero, which should be very familiar to most players. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic Water Energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So this ability is essentially Rain Dance Blastoise all over again. And then Buster Tail, 130, we're not really interested in that. But of course, this ability is absolutely amazing. We'll also see a Chein-Pao in a minute that's really good with this. So seeing Rain Dance back in the format, I kind of wish Pokemon would come up with more interesting abilities than just, reprint the same ones over and over again. But still, Absolute Zero, very strong ability, and expect this to see a lot of play with stuff like, not even just Chein-Pao, I think there's stuff like Karm VMAX that could see play with this, some like weird fringe single prize basics maybe as well that want to use water energy to attack with, so and can't use Charm. So yeah, a lot of cool combos with Baxcalibur. And then Chein-Pao, which is kind of like the main mascot of these sets, has the ability Trembling Cold. Says once on your turn, if this Pokemon is your active, you may search your deck for 2 basic water energy. Pretty strong. And then Hail Blizzard for 2 waters, does 60 damage, and you discard any amount of water from your Pokemon as you like, and it does 60 for each one you discard in this way. Very strong attack, very strong ability. It is the exact same attack as Raichu V from Brilliant Stars, which is worth bearing in mind, but Chein-Pao does have this amazing ability, and it also has Baxcalibur to support it. And you could really just do so much with this card. Like, this doesn't even have to be just a Chein-Pao Baxcalibur deck. you could easily squeeze in, like Stormy V, it's an alternate attacker, Suicune V, maybe a thin line of Palkia V to or Palkia V Star, I should say, to guarantee 3 basic water energies. You could pair this up with Gyarados, where, you do like 180, and then if they're already damaged, does 180 more. So there's just a ton of options that you could do with these two. I think water decks are definitely going to be pretty strong in this set, especially considering Trembling Cold is just going to help you find those basic water energies. You also have stuff like Arida, or Irida as it's pronounced, to find stage 2s and your water type Pokemon. You've got like Radiant Greninja. There's just so much support that you can take advantage of. So yeah, I definitely expect these to be really solid going forward. We also see a Pikachu line, and it is not too great from what I remember. Raichu has Thunderbolt, does 200 damage to Scald Energy. This is actually the exact same attack as the Raichu from Evolving Skies, but that did 180, so this is like a slight power creep on that, I guess. We have Rabaska, which is the one that evolved from Relor. Very cool artwork, I will say that about, these Pokemon. They're not quite just filler, they do have cool artwork. But choose a Pokemon from your discard pile, put onto your bench. Yeah, nothing too great there, unfortunately. Then we have the Minecraft-inspired Pokemon line, it feels like. I'm a big fan of Minecraft, so definitely like these Pokemon line. Got Knackley, 2 Knackleys, both of them are fine. Retreat cost of 3, though, is awful for a basic. Knackle Stack, which could potentially do 180 damage, I guess. I mean, sure. And then Garganacl, for 108 HP, has the ability Blessed Assault. It says once during Pokemon checkup, heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. And then Knock Hammer, for 2 fighting, does 130, and then you discard a card from the top of your opponent's deck. So the attack is terrible, obviously, we're here for the ability, but during Pokemon checkup, heal 20 from each of your Pokemon. It's okay, realistically, you're never getting more than one of these in play. And you could pair this up with other healing stuff like Radiant Tricina and the Oricorio that was revealed from Triple Beat. So this could be decent in some kind of healing tanky deck, but you do have to make room for this. And at that point, are you just better off just playing, potions or, even something like Crushing Hammers? So you have to see if that ends up being relevant. Then we have Ting Lu, 240 HP. Absolutely, yeah, it's pretty decent actually. I didn't talk about the fact that Chein-Pao only had 220, but Ting Lu having 240 is pretty decent, to be honest. It's a bit tankier than what we're used to. The ability Curse Ground says if this Pokemon is active, your opponent's Pokemon with damage counters on them have no abilities, excluding EX, however. So, a really interesting ability. Just means that you're able to sprinkle some damage on with Howlucha or the Attack Land Scoop, placing 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's benched. You can obviously shut down some attackers that have abilities, but I think this is just too niche of an ability itself to be really good. You could pair this up with stuff like Gapejaw Bog, which would be interesting, or, like a Lake QT tanking deck with Stone Chestplate and, Koraidon and stuff, but yeah, I don't think Ting Lu is doing quite enough, but yeah, it could be interesting, I suppose. Then we've got Dunsparce, which is not as good as our Dunsparce from, I think it's Fusion Strike that removes Colorless Weakness, or Brilliant Star as it was. But yeah, it does mean that we can now play the Dunsparce in conjunction with that Dunsparce that's good. As he attacks Sun and Flash, 4 colors, 100 damage, opponent's actor is now paralyzed, and then you shove this Pokemon, all cards attached to it, into your deck. So probably an okay partner for Lugia, maybe just a one-of in Lugia deck, to be honest, if you're playing enough different colorless energy, but other than that, nothing too impressive. Needing 4 energy is obviously really expensive, and 100 damage just isn't really a lot, so leaves a lot to be desired. We also see a new Mousehold line. We just got one of these in Scarlet and Violet base set, but for 3 colors, has the attack no up. The damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon in play equal to the number of your Mousehold in play. So maximum, we're doing 4 damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon. That's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's not that great because your opponent will see this coming from a mile away and it costs 3 energy. So yeah, nothing too great. Then we have Sqwakabilly EX, which is absolutely amazing. 160 HP, has the ability Live Withdrawal. Once during your turn, or on the first turn of the game, I should say, you may discard your hand and draw 6, but you can't use more than one of these abilities during your turn. Really solid ability, is very, got good synergy with stuff like Nest Ball and VIP Pass. So if we're able to, VIP Pass for this and then another basic Pokemon, we can then use our supporter for turn and then use a Live Withdrawal, which is really good. So big fan of his ability. And then we also have Energy Flow, 20 damage, attached to basic energy. It's okay, but yeah, I guess it's nice to have an attack like this to just have through the mid to late game. But yeah, definitely a very solid card. Then we also have Super Rod, which is just great universal recovery for, single prize decks as well as like non-single prize decks as well, like the EX decks and stuff that just want to shuffle in Pokemon energy. But yeah, Super Rod definitely going to be a bit of a staple. We also have Charm of Courage. His basic is cards attached to gets plus 50 HP, so basically a Cape of Toughness reprint, except Cape of Toughness didn't work on GX Pokemon, so I guess Charm of Courage is a direct buff to that and expanded for GX Pokemon. But yeah, Charm of Courage, interesting card, I guess. Could definitely make some of these other basics, like, either Sqwakabilly more tankier, or, Ting Lu have 290 HP, or who was the other ones? Got Chein-Pao for 260, which is decent, to be honest, or even Chi-Yu for 240. So I actually do like this item a lot. I think it's pretty solid. Getting plus 50 HP is always nice. It just means that you're going to be tanking hits that you wouldn't otherwise tank. There is a Lost Sweeper in the format, and maybe even Tool Scrapper, so you have to be careful with that. But Charm of Courage definitely seems really solid. We'll see a Grusha supporter that says draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. If you have no energy cards attached to any of your Pokemon, you drop to 7 instead. Really solid supporter, honestly. It's nothing too crazy, but it is very solid. There will be decks that only have 1 energy attachments, and they maybe discard their energy, i.e. the what's it called, Chein-Pao that we looked at earlier. So being able to just use a massive attack, discard all those energies, and then drop to 7 potentially the following turn. So yeah, I kind of like Grusha. Seems pretty solid. Then there's a Lono or Iono. I've not heard this character's name pronounced in a while, so I don't know how you pronounce the name. Either way, it's a very good supporter card. Each player shuffles their hand, puts on the bottom of their deck. Then each player draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. So it's like this weird combination of Marnie and N, but I really feel this is what Marnie should have been, to be honest. I'm not a fan of how Marnie impacted the format, really. It definitely limited how big hand size could get, like how big hands could get. And I think this card is definitely a much better card overall, and we'll certainly see a ton of play because, I think some people are worried about it's going to be a bit of a judge format, but I think this card is definitely going to be, something greater than that. This is going to be a staple in a lot of decks, really, so expect to see this being very competitive. It's also going to be the release of these sleeves. We also see, I think it's a Belly Bot or something, the name of this Pokemon, something weird like that. We should probably see him in the set as well, so I guess that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, it's been our power. Thank you for watching. Hope you see you next time. And yeah, thank you for watching.